Hello everyone, this is EC. I'm very excited to be bringing you today the tutorial for Bunker 2 Agent utilizing the R-Warp strategy. This tutorial will be serve purpose for those looking to attain a time anywhere between 23 to 21 um, on this level. The R-Warp strat was, this current iteration of it was developed by both Whitehead and Berg, with later refinements and observations and optimizations made by the collective TASPap community. The resulting effort from the discovery of this warp has caused, at the time of this recording, the world record on Bunker 2 Agent to be lowered from 23 seconds to 20 seconds. At the time of recording this tutorial, 20 is currently untied by Cali, with a number of us in the TASPap community already having 21. So this is definitely a time that I think anyone who currently has 24 or 23 is very capable of getting. Apart from the cell warp in the beginning, as well as a little bit of a different knowledge set regarding the lore and the positioning of the keycard guard at the end of the level. I feel like this is relatively unchanged from how it's normally played with the Watch Magnet Attract strategy. So this is certainly something that if you already have a great knowledge pool or a great handle on Bunker 2 Agent, you're basically just changing up the start of the level and just a little bit of mindset regarding the keycard guy. And then this is pretty much the same execution as it would be normally played. So this tutorial, I'm going to be looking at my Bunker 2 21, and it's pretty much just going to serve like a general purpose of how I approached going for 21, and I think that is a good example run to look at in terms of things moving forward and how to execute the level. So we're just going to start right away. So the first big major change between using the cell warp and the old strategy is rather than immediately pausing and skipping out of the second cinema, we're going to watch both cinemas. And the reason why that we do that is not only for positioning on the jailer, but it's for positioning with keycard guy. Since we're doing our start faster, and we're not doing the pausing and not doing the watch magnet attract, keycard guy is not going to be in great position like he normally would be to be lured at the end of the level with the KF7 shots while you're picking up the tape for objective A. Watching as much cinema as we can is basically going to ensure that he's in a relatively good position that the lure will still work and still actually go off. The difference between 20 and 21 is, since we're moving a lot faster, our lure is not going to work while we're picking up the tape. So we have to go through a little bit of the essay route to get the keycard guy. But that's a whole other conversation. We're just going to focus directly on 21 now too. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to approach the cell warp. Ted has a great tutorial about the mechanics and the overall like what's happening during the cell warp. This is going to basically be like my shortened version and how I approached it. So as you gain control of Bond here, we're going to start in right strafe. And as we get into position on the actual cell door, we're going to just go right into just C right only. So you're only holding C right, and you're going to slide it into position into the crack here. So the crack in between the cell door and the cell wall is what we're warping through. And then what I like to do is, some people like to do the warp and look down. I find just keeping basically planar or slightly more than planar look up here just work best for me in terms of consistency. Then what I like to do is, let me just back up just a hair. I like to position my dot on my screen to anywhere left of Nat, starting like on her shoulder. So this bar right here, this bar right here is good, but just kind of aiming your dot pretty much in this area, right above Nat's shoulder, anything to the left of her works great. Now what I'm doing here is, while I'm still positioning, looking up, I'm still holding C right, like basically wedging myself into the crack between the cell door and the cell wall, while still holding C right. At the same time, I'm going to press C left and R, and that's going to input a lean. However, in the position that I'm in on the crack here, you notice that I'm not doing the full lean. Like normally when you go into a lean, Bond's position just like snaps to the direction. If you do the lean in such a way that you're like in this crack, your position like doesn't change, but you still maintain the momentum of you like moving to left or right. So I'm still holding. So I press both C left and R at the same time, still holding C right. and then you want to be very deliberate about your press, and you want to be very deliberate about your release with C left. So you're going to be releasing C left while holding R and C right still. You don't want to like do a very light tap. You want to be a very like deliberate press of C right. I'm sorry, C left. So you want to be like a dut dut. So you want to like press both buttons at the same time and then release C left while still holding R and C right. And while you're doing that, you also want to crank your stick to the right, and then you'll see the like the R aimer move to the right, and the momentum of you moving to the right with the R aimer, as well as the momentum that was sustained by you doing the left lean into right lean. All of that combined should pop you through the door. Boom, and right through. Let's play it again. Right through. Now, when you're starting to do this strat and to learn the warp, it's very important. It's very important to kind of keep your nerves about yourself. You don't want to like have a true like gamer moment shut down. Like you're through and oh boy, I'm through. Like you don't want to have that, because you still have a lot of level to go through. When learning the strat first, it's going to take you some time just with the particulars of how you line up. My big thing learning this was the timing on the initial C left press. Like I said, you don't want to like just tap it. You want to be like a very deliberate C left press and a very deliberate let go. And then you want, again, crank the stick hard at that point too, and you should go through. The consistency with getting it through the first try, once you start getting consistent at the level, I find I was getting through first try like very consistently. Like once maybe every 2-3 attempts, I was able to actually just go through them the first time. When you're starting to learn this level, especially when you're going from like 24 to 23 to 22, anything that's like a second try, so like a second try warp, I mean like you do the inputs to do the warp and then you have to reset and go back again. I find that when I was starting to get better at doing like the warp and trying to get it first try, I was getting warps through the cell maybe like on the second attempt of doing it that way. And again, the big thing with me and the big issue that I can say that I had obtaining this is just the timing, again, of not only the C left press, but also the release. You want to be very deliberate with both. So once you're through, unfortunately, you can't just like kill this guy and save Natalia and run to the end. You actually have to get both keys. So I'm going to pick up key 2 here, which is the key for your cell. If you don't pick up both keys, the final door out of the bunker won't open. It will be locked. So you still have to get both keys, even though you don't use the second one to go through to go through the cell. Then you want to kill the jailer. The really cool thing about this strat too is if you warp the cell, the jailer doesn't get alerted. So like any slap on him, as long as you hit him, will kill you, and he's not gonna like harass you and try to shoot at you like he would on like SA or 00 or maybe Agent if you mess up the slap too. So I believe I'm in right strafe here. I'm turning really hard left, and I'm pressing Z like right as I pick up the key to be able to get the slap on the guard. Boom, right there. You'll be right next to him. He's gonna drop the number 1 cell key as well as the KF7. You obviously need both of those. So as you can see here, I'm also like opening Nat's door at the same time. So with Nat, as long as you're like mashing B on the door, it's totally fine. Even if the door closes again, as long as the door opens at least once, Nat will still complete. And then for this door, I've always liked to treat this door as like a center opening door. Like if you've ever played like Mayan Agent and Perfect Dark, where I like to kind of like come at it from the right and then roll through the crack. So that's what I kind of do here. Open it and then just like zigzag my way through the crack basically. And now the run pretty much begins. So this patrolling guard here too, this is also one part of the level where it can be a little bit different. This patrolling guard here will still like be moving through this area. Sometimes this door cycle will still close even if you're like kind of late on getting through the cell wall too. And sometimes like if you're early and you have a quick start, you can like just barely make it. So just keep that in mind. Like this is another hurdle too. It's just kind of making sure you make it through the cycle and make it through the door. All right, so this is pretty much where the run begins to have a lot of overlay between the current strat where for 23 and 24. So I'm gonna go through this as quick as possible. I will touch on a little bit of differences with the keycard guy when we get to objective A. So you want to keep this nice and tight in here. I did not kill this guard. I've just never really been a fan of killing this guard. If you want to kill him, if he's like in your way, it's cool, but I just like snuck right by him. And then you want to pull out your KF7 if you already haven't done so. And then you want to start shooting to lure keycard guy. I believe I start shooting a little bit late, but pretty much like anywhere here in this area is where you want to start shooting. And you want to shoot 18 bullets. So you want to go down to 2 in your clip. All right. And then for this door, I've always liked to open this door on my own. I know sometimes the guards can open the door if they're fast to respond. You should be able, that they're fast if like you can see them like sticking their head out here, like like right away they'll open the door. So just kind of react to that, but always know that like you're gonna end up having to open this door because they might not be fast to respond. But if you see the guards like sticking out here, like opening the door, then yeah, you don't have to get the B press. Both the guards too like had really good lineups. I was able to kill both of them like very quickly on my way to the tape. And then you pick up the tape right here. Boom, the tape. Now I'll touch on the differences between keycard guy in this section too. As I said in the beginning of the level, keycard guy's patrol route with doing this without pausing and taking longer to do the watch magnet and everything, his position is not going to be like as close to you as it would be normally with the normal strat. With this way, he's going to be a little bit further back because you're obviously moving faster in the level. So what I'll say is, if your start is very fast, so if your start is like very clean, like you have a first try warp, you have a very clean kill, a nat pickup, and the two key pickups, and you have a very nice start of the level where you're through the door and you're by the corner, you want to sandbag a little bit of time picking up the tape. So the way that I like to do it is I like to just do this whole room in C up. So as soon as like you open this door, just release strafe and just stay C up all the way to the tape. And then I hesitated for just a small second there on the table, and that should be good position for that should give you enough time to kind of like sandbag so that the keyguard guy is in good position. If you have like a little bit of a slower start, maybe like your slap wasn't really good, or like maybe you had like a little gamer moment where you were trying to get everything. You don't want to sandbag a lot here because keycard guy may or may not be in good position. Because you were a little slower at the start, he'll probably be like further down his path than he would be here if you had a very fast start. So basically what I'll say, just to sum up this kind of area, if you have a very fast start, you want to sandbag as much as you can in this room a little bit. If you have a little bit of a slower start, you want to take this room a little bit faster so that you ensure keycard guy is in good position. And of course, even if you do this correctly, and even if like your pace is fine, he may or may not be there. So your consistency with keycard guy will go down a little bit, but just know that like he will be there on good paces, and you're not going to get screwed over by him. I was pretty lucky that a lot of the runs I had, he was there, but there will be runs where like you're really fast and maybe you think you sandbagged a little bit, but maybe you didn't sandbag enough. He's just not going to be in good positioning. So again, if you have a very fast start, sandbag here. If your start's a little bit slower, take this a little bit faster. Back up a little bit. So once I pick up the tape, I want to transition into left strafe while holding left on the stick. Once I'm through, oh, here he is. Once I'm through the threshold of this room here, I like to transition while still holding left on the stick. I'll transition from left strafe to right strafe, and hit him. He's here. So, like, admittedly, you kind of want keycard guy to be like right on the corner. you kind of want him to be like just a little bit closer. This was like very good position, and I responded like very quickly to him. But again, sometimes if you're fast, he can end up like back here or even at like the mainframe room door here. So just know that like if that happens, maybe he wasn't further enough in his route, or maybe you didn't sandbag enough for him. But this is very good position. Um, I do like to see up this kill. I honestly really can't tell you like how long I'm seeing up for. I think it's like such a subconscious thing, like an involuntary like just letting go of strafe and just holding C left into him. But you want to be able to pick up both the clobs and the security card for the glass door at the end. So one burst into him should totally be fine. You want to aim for chest or head. Sometimes he can just kneel, and if he kneels, he just played badly. So just you want to make sure you get this kill pretty quickly, nice and clean. So I'm turning out of here, and I'm in right strafe, pretty much all the way. Nice tight turn around, corner around there at the end of the stairs. Now the final boss of the level is this door here. You want to basically this is one of those doors where you want to do you want to switch weapons before you open it. So you want to back switch to clobs and then open this door. You can press all three of those buttons at the same time, so A, Z, and B, or you can start your inputting your back switch a little bit earlier and then press B to warp through. Unfortunately, this area is also pretty laggy too, so the game can't eat your inputs. I did input a back switch here, but I warped to unarmed, and it still worked. So it was a pretty good warp too. You may catch a boost in here. If you do, that's great. And then for the final warp, you want to, if you have your clobs out, you want to back switch to KF7, or actually rather forward switch to KF7. If you're unarmed, you can just basically switch to KF7. Open this door from from a pretty good distance away. Get into the crack here while it's opening, and then you want to back switch the clobs. And I've always been a fan of just back switching the clobs and just keeping planar lookup here. The game has to load like all of these assets, like all the trees and like everything here. So I've always like just keep planar lookup and then just warp to clobs. I've never been a fan of like just shooting and then using that to go through. I think just like using the tree line and all the stuff outside of it as well as the clobs, and then just like that warp is just totally fine to get through. And yeah, and that's pretty much it. I mean, like I said, the only really big differences, between 23 and 24 and the lower 20s, like 22 and 21, is just knowing where the keycard guy is, just being able to sandbag a little bit, and obviously the start with the cell warp. So again, one more time, let me go through the cell warp inputs for everyone just to get this started. So when you start the level, you want to again watch both cinemas. You want to start in right strafe. Just for a little bit until you get close to the cell door. Go into C right only and slide into position into the crack. Look anywhere left of Nat starting from her shoulder left. You want to press C, deliberately press C left and R at the same time. And then deliberately let go of C left and R to warp through. And then crank your stick hard right. And you're through. All right. So that's pretty much it. I mean, like I said, the level isn't much different between those two big things. And any questions, please reach out to anyone in the TASPap community that has 21. Like I said, Whitehead has a great tutorial on the mechanics and everything behind the warp as well too. He'll definitely go into like more specifics. So yeah, hopefully this was a big help for everyone, and thanks for watching.